When Nintendo released Super Mario Maker first on Wii U and then on 3DS, Mario fans suddenly had an almost unlimited wealth of levels to play. Inevitably, some creators went a little nuts with power. Here are some of the most challenging Super Mario Maker levels you just have to try for yourself. Before we dive in, please give us a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's get started. Unconventional Thoughts. Sometimes beating an ultra-challenging course doesn't require straightforward platforming skills. Instead, it's persistence and trial and error that will see you through to the end. This level, called Unconventional Thoughts, requires you to try again to find the correct path through the level. Unfortunately, to successfully beat it requires that you rule out a whole lot of dead ends. Taking damage is necessary in Unconventional Thoughts because that's just how devilishly the level is designed. Each time you snag a fire flower or a feather, you can bet you'll have to give up those handy powers almost immediately in order to get past some tricky piece of platforming. And every time the way forward seems obvious, you have to take some alternate route to make any actual progress. Dead ends litter this level like garbage cans on trash day. And when you inevitably take the wrong path, you'll have to restart and try again. Making matters worse, this level is long. So, if you're thinking about taking Unconventional Thoughts for a spin, you'll probably want to watch a full video walkthrough before diving in. That, or you'll end up spending way too much time searching for the right path among many dead ends. Pit of Panga, You Break. Pit of Panga, You Break is out to get you from the moment you load it up. The first thing it does is drop you directly into a flaming wand. That is, unless you're quick and agile enough to bounce off a P-switch and grab a buzzy beetle shell. Once you do, it's all a matter of juggling shells and bouncing off of them just at the right moment to navigate the deadly terrain. It's not for the faint of heart. There's hardly a bare surface to walk on in this level, which means you'll hardly get a chance to catch your breath. Another move that comes in handy is the spin jump, which lets you bounce off of certain objects that would otherwise spell doom, including those blocky thwomps and thwimps. Just look at this crazy juggling act as Mario makes his way across the backs of dozens of angry wigglers. You even have to sacrifice Yoshi at one point, leaving your green friend to sizzle in a pit of lava while you leap to relative safety among the saw blades and beetle shells. At the time of this recording, You Break even holds the Guinness World Record for being the toughest Mario Maker level of them all. Have a try if you think you have the stuff. Super Mario vs. Mecha Bowzilla. One of the joys of playing player-made Mario Maker levels is that you get to experience things Nintendo would never put in a Mario game in a million years. You also get to see just how creative people can get using a limited set of tools. Super Mario vs. Mecha Bowzilla certainly pushes the boundaries of what Nintendo must have envisioned when designing this game. The level is centered around a series of encounters between Mario and a crazy assortment of parts that makes Bowser seem like a giant mechanical beast. Sometimes Bowzilla stomps after you in high heels, other times he seems to float on flamethrowers. Either way, Mecha Bowzilla is an incredible creation that chases after you, punching with chain chomp arms and spitting fireballs you have to avoid as you navigate the hyper-challenging level. Better yet, when you go into pipes, you actually wind up inside this terrifying creation. In place of gears, he has saw blades that will slice you in half if you mistime a jump. Each time you successfully complete a section inside of Bowzilla, you break off a piece of him. It's a truly ingenious level that makes other Mario Maker creators look lazy in comparison. Trials of Death. Trials of Death isn't available to the public yet, but if all goes well, the level will go live at some point. The reason it's not available is because creators can't post a level online until they've successfully beaten it. It's a brilliant rule because it ensures that no level you can play online is unbeatable. If you can download a level, it's been beaten at least once. You may not be able to beat it, but someone can. What makes Trials of Death unique is that its creator has spent over 1,500 hours and nearly 2 years trying to beat it. He's been publicly charting his progress one grueling step at a time. What makes Trials of Death so hard? Just about everything in it. The floor is mostly lava, and the air is filled with spikes and saw blades. Supersized enemies litter the level, as do extra long spinning fireball poles. You constantly need to thread needle after needle to get from point A to point B. The title Trials of Death is an apt one. If the maker of this level is struggling so hard to beat it, what chance do any of us have? Hardly any, but it sure will be fun to try when it finally makes its way online. Spin is Magic. Often the titles of Mario Maker levels give you a hint at how to beat them. That's the case with this level, called Spin is Magic. Guess what? You have to spin jump to get anywhere in this level. Then again, it takes a lot more than just spinning to reach the end. More than anything else, spikes make up the environment in Spin is Magic. Spikes line both the floor and ceiling, often closing in on each other to make it even less likely you'll beat the stage. And most of the enemies you'll have to hop on are deadly unless you use Mario's special spin jump. So spin jump you do, on spiky shells and bombs as they skitter forward across the deadly floor. Toward the end of the level, the spike floor drops away, leaving, you guessed it, lava in its place. At that point, you have to nail a pair of tough jumps, but if you do, you'll reach a vine you can climb to safety. On the plus side, Spin is Magic is one of the shorter levels on this list, with a runtime of about only 30 seconds, assuming you don't die. A huge assumption, to be sure. Extreme Sadistic Torture World. You don't enter a Mario Maker level called Extreme Sadistic Torture World expecting an easy ride, and boy would you be right if you thought you'd be in for a tough time. The first thing that happens when the level starts is a thwomp falls right on your head. That is, unless you're quick to dodge. In the same instant, you have to grab a beetle shell, spin jump back on top of the thwomp, and bounce off the shell to reach a hidden P-switch. And that's just in the first couple of seconds of this 7-minute-long level. After that, you have to navigate a torturous maze filled with pits, enemies, and traps, all of it expertly designed to end poor Mario's life in an instant. Just about every inch of the stage requires split-second timing, so you'd better start practicing if you want to complete during your lifetime. Many of the keys to making progress are tucked away in hidden areas you'd have no reason to look unless you know they're there. There is no way the satisfaction that would come from beating Extreme Sadistic Torture World is worth the effort. It's a fun stage to try, but if you want to see to the end, you're better off just watching someone else play it on YouTube. Goomba Is Key. Many of these impossible Mario Maker levels are filled to the brim with enemies, traps, and all kinds of things that will kill you if you glance away for even a moment. That's not the case with Goomba Is Key, a seriously tough level that spaces out its challenges quite nicely. After grabbing Mario's cape, you have to tackle a series of jumps that require pinpoint perfect accuracy. They're tough to nail, but at least you get a chance to catch your breath in between them. At a couple of points, you even have to take damage on purpose to navigate the treacherous terrain that awaits. Unlike many of these nearly impossible levels, there are multiple routes throughout this one. You can stay above ground if you want, but if you go down a pipe, you'll find yourself in a lengthy underwater sequence that has no enemies at all. It doesn't let you skip many challenges, but it gives you a welcome reprieve. If you're looking for a super challenging stage that a normal non-expert player might actually be able to beat, Goomba Is Key is a good one to try. It has its share of tough moments, but they're spaced out, making them easier to learn than those stages that pack their challenges into small spaces. Pit of Panga, P-Break. Another level by the maker of the U-Break level is Pit of Panga, P-Break, an earlier masterpiece of wicked level design. Much of the level's floor is nothing but lava, and most of the rest of the things in the environment are happy to kill you, things like spikes and fireballs. So once again, the only way to make progress is by grabbing shells and kicking them off blocks, then using the ricochet as a jumping platform. Note that doing this even once requires precise timing, so stringing a series of ricochets and jumps together is not for the faint of heart. Then, just a few seconds into the level, you reach a platform that's home to 4 conspicuous beetle shells. What you have to do to get past the next part is downright unfair. The first shell goes on your head. Next, you must line up the remaining shells just so, and then send them skittering over a complex topography covered by deadly munchers. The rest of the level continues in much the same way, with precisely timed jumps and item throws that will leave anyone who doesn't have the reflexes of a machine cowering in fear or frustration. Just try not to break your controller. Tricky Mario, Val's Shellspace. Tricky Mario, Val's Shellspace, wastes no time baring its teeth. Right from the start, you're faced with 3 super long fireball poles that spell certain death unless you start jumping out of the way the moment you gain control of our intrepid hero. And once you take control, you won't get a chance to catch your breath for some time, as danger after danger piles up against you. As is often the case in these nearly impossible levels, your main mode of navigation requires you to repeatedly bounce off beetle shells with precise timing as you try to avoid a tidal wave of deadly enemies and traps. Watching someone pull this off is like seeing a ballet of near death, as Mario seems to hop on nothing but air to avoid spikes, lava, enemies, and fireballs. It's something to behold, even if your average Mario Maker player would have no prayer of surviving even a second in this cruel level. Should you have the skill to survive this murderous ordeal, you'll be nicely rewarded with a shower of coins and 1-ups to celebrate your victory. If you somehow manage to make it to this point, be sure to take a deep breath before completing the level. You've earned it. Voyage. Our old friend Panga is back once again with a brutal level called Voyage. It's called that because many parts of the level are impossible to pass unless you've been kicking around a bomb you encountered earlier. Fail to ignite and kick the bombs in the right order, and you'll find yourself stuck in a cruel world that's out to get you, with certain death awaiting just around the corner. You also have to make frequent use of Mario's spin jump, which lets you bounce unharmed off of enemies whose touch would otherwise spell your demise. At one particularly harrowing point, you have to juggle ignited bombs to make it across a vast pit that will swallow you up like a black hole if you don't get the timing just right. After that, you're in for more bomb bouncing, because you need both a big bomb and a small bomb to make it through the next area, which happens to be lined with spikes. All told, this level will put your platforming skills to the test. Don't expect to get out alive if you glance away from the screen for even an instant. Panga's levels are fun to try, but almost impossible to beat. We hope you enjoyed this list of impossible Mario Maker levels to try. Did we miss any of your favorites? Make sure you let us know in the comments below. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our great video content in our playlist. Thanks for watching.